Okay, so can we all see my screen now?
Yes, I
Okay,
can see.
perfect. So we can continue then. So I wanted to show you how to change password policies from the portal. So I've opened up the portal now. So if you scroll um, all the way down to settings, can you see there's a place for settings? So under settings, there is security and privacy. So click on security and privacy. And you see what we have here, password policy. So let's see. Password policy is set to never expire, which is very, very bad. Very bad for this tenant account. It's set to never expire. So let me change this. So you see, by default, it's set to never expire. But once you turn it on, you turn on password policy. The default setting, once it is turned on, is 90 days. And it will notify you, start notifying you to change your password 14 days to 90 days. That's 14 days to the expiration of that password. So you can change it here. You can say, I want it to be 5 days. I want you to remind me to change the password 5 days prior to expiration of the password. I'm going to have to put people on mute. Is okay, so we can proceed. So I'll close out of here. So you see where to do password policy now from in the portal. So how about if we need to do this in PowerShell? So let me show you how it's done in PowerShell. So I'll share my PowerShell screen again. Where's my PowerShell screen? Can you all see my PowerShell screen now? Okay, so I'm going to continue. I want to set, what should we do? How about we set a password to, okay, first let's change a user password. I don't think I've showed you how to do this one. So let's do that first. We'll start by changing the user password. Maybe a user calls you and tells you as an administrator that my password has been compromised, or I can't remember my password anymore. So what do you do? How can you help this user change their password? So let's assume that John Boo cannot remember his password anymore. So what we will need to do, let me clear the screen. Clear host. So what we need to do in this case is to set MSOL user password. You see, user principal name. I know we have John Bull, John.bull at the tenant name I'm using is this Kazim.2 at Kazim.onmicrosoft.com. Right? So that's the user principal name. Next is a new password. I want to change this user's password. New password should be, let me put this in quotes now. I want new password to be this password, uppercase P @ $W0RD. Okay, a complaint that you can't find, okay, my John Bull is not correctly spelled. So John, there's no N with John. So let me try again. Uh-oh, so what's the password this time? User not found, John Bull. Okay, so let's do this again. Get MSOL user John.bull. Kazimton, okay. So it was a typo from me. Let me just copy it here. So that's why it's always better to copy instead of typing. I want to change for this user. So let me delete. And I believe you are noting these stuffs down, these commands. So you see, we have changed the user password. So the new password for this user is this new password we are just typing now. Okay. What other thing do I need to show? How about if we want to set password policy? We want to set password policy to not expire until 45 days. Let's do 45 days. We want to set it to 45 days. So the way you set it is to type set MSOL password policy for what domain? So I'll do for this domain, for the entire domain. My domain name is this. So let me copy. This is my domain name right now. So next I will type in validity period. Validity period is for 45 days. Then I can do notification days, right? Notification days. I can set that to maybe 5 days. Okay, so we have set this now. If I go back to the portal, let me go back to the portal real quick. Or share. So if you can see the portal and I perform a refresh from here, let's see what we get. So can you see that it has now been changed? It has changed to reflect the new changes we made from PowerShell. So it's now 45 days and then notification is now set to 5 days. You understand? Okay, so how about if I don't want password for a particular user to expire? Because it's possible that you come across that scenario where somebody is telling you, the boss is telling you, I don't want my password to expire. You know, sometimes when we hear some of these, statements from the boss man himself, we don't have much of a choice but just to dance to his tune. So, well, he has said he does not want his password to expire. So, yes, we try to give him a bit of security awareness training, but if he's still shunning you, then we just have to do what is best, for us. So let me set his password, to never expire. To set a user password to never expire, let me share my. Okay, so I'm going to type set MSOL user and that principal name. So let's still use Jumbo, as our user. So I will Jumbo and I will do password never expire. I'll set it to true, $true. $true. So it means that moving forward, this Jumbo password will never expire. And by the way, This task that I just performed now is a PowerShell only task. You can't do it from the UI, from the admin center. If you go to the admin center, you can never see a place where you make a user's password never to expire. But from PowerShell, we can get that one. We can get it done, right? So how about if I don't want, can anybody try? Can anybody help me? What happens if I don't want all the people's password to expire? I don't recommend we do that, but let's just pretend that, well, this environment, this is what they want, and we want to try to give it to them. They don't want, they have 200 users, but all of the 200 users, we don't want their password to expire. Any hints?
We can group them.
Apart from grouping them, I think the default settings on the UI is password never expire.
Password never expires.
And that's the default setting.
Yeah, if you don't change it. But if you've changed it and you want to do it back for everybody from PowerShell.
Okay, I think so the adding group will be will perform the task. When you group, you create a group, add all the 200 users, then assign single policy to the group.
But this is from PowerShell. We will not be able to create policy and assign the policy from PowerShell. This is 0365. Let me just give it to you. I will do get MSOL user. Oh, I'm not typing. Get MSOL user. Can you still see my screen, by the way?
Yes,
we can.
Okay, so I'm getting MSOL user. You know, this one normally would show me all the users. So I've pressed enter. You see, it's showing me all the users. So I will do that again. Get MSOL user. Then I will use my pipe that I want to do something else. So I will then do set MSOL user. Password never expires to true. Do you understand now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Good. So this is how we make all the users' password never to expire. And one more thing before we wrap up. You know, there are times when you try to set up an account with an online platform, or it might even be a solution on-prem, and you are typing in the password, and the system keeps telling you, oh, the password does not meet the complexity requirements. Have you ever experienced this before?
Yes.
Yes, we have.
Okay. So that's what we'll try to do now. We want to set password complexity requirements. You know, we want to turn it on for this tenant so that when they create their password, we don't want them using weak passwords as their password. We don't want them to use that. If they use weak password, it can easily be cracked. So we want them to use a password that is very strong. The characteristics of a strong password is that it should have uppercase in it. It should have lower cases letters in it. There should be numbers, there should be letters, there should be special characters. You get the picture. So if you need to turn this on, it's not something that is super complex. So let me show it to you. I will say set MSOL user. Okay. Let's do it for a particular user. We'll do it for John Bull. So I will say user principal name, John Bull. Then I will say strong password is required. Strong password required equals to true. So you see, so it means that moving forward, when John Bull wants to reset his password or change his password to something else, it will require him to use strong passwords. That is, numbers, letters, special characters, you get the picture. Again, if you have a boss man and the boss does not want to obey the rule, he wants to be able to use any password that he wants, right? So in that case, what you will need to do is to change it to false for him. If the user is Jumbo, so we'll just set MSOL user principal name, Jumbo, space, dash, strong password required equals false for him.
Okay.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, please go ahead.
Sir, concerning grouping all the users, all the users in general,
yes,
their password never expires. The one you did for us here, the penultimate one, I mean.
Yes.
You said comes true, but I don't understand that that C that is added to it, raised to power C or something. What does that mean, sir?
Raised to power C?
Yes, sir. Raised to power C.
Oh, okay. No. Forget about the get raised to power C. I cancel because the first command I didn't execute it. That password never expired. I did not press enter, so I just canceled.
Okay.
That
I
raised to
get
power C is to cancel. Don't worry about it. If I had executed it, you would not have seen it.
Okay. Please, I also have a question.
Okay.
What if you want to set the minimum password characters? Assuming you want to set the minimum password character to 10.
Okay.
So how do we go about it?
Very well. Up in 0365, there are some limitations. You have some limitations. So there are certain things that you cannot do, right? So if you must do that, you can do it in conjunction with your on-prem servers. And when you're using Active Directory on-prem, you will use group policy to set it, right? So group policy is going to do the magic for you. So is that clear?
Yes, it is.
I didn't get that. Sorry, my network went off.
Okay, I said you don't have that option in 0365, but if you have an on-prem server, you can do hybrid and use group policy to do it. Okay. Yes. Okay. So you can see the slides again, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So we know about this now. We know we can reset user passwords. Resetting admin password. When it comes to resetting admin password, you make sure that you reset it yourself. You don't tell people to help you reset the admin password. You try to do it yourself. And get another admin to reset for you. Yes, is another option that you have. If you must reset, either you do it yourself or you're getting not just anybody but another admin to help you with that task. So we know I've showed you how to set password policy, how to change a user password to do most of these tasks now. The common errors, create passwords, policy, enforce strong password. Those are just some kind of best practice that you need to put in place when you have an 0365 tenant, right? So next lesson is right management. So I'll just talk about this briefly, and I'll leave the demo, of this one to our next class on Tuesday, I believe. Yes. So RMS stands for Right Management System. Right management system or right management service. You see, we know NTFS can be used to protect our documents. If I have a document now sitting on my computer, a document at rest, that document, I can put NTFS on it where people will not be able to see or view the content of the document. Yes, I can use NTFS to do that, right? But there are certain things that NTFS cannot do for us. In fact, even when you send a message, you can encrypt the message so that it looks very, even when people try to get their hands on it, it's going to look mumbo jumbo to them. It's going to look gobbledygook. It's going to look unreadable to them, right? So for them to be able to read it, they will need to have a spare key to be able to read the content of the message, right? But there are certain things those different technologies cannot help us with. They cannot help us with, for instance, shoulder surfing. There's something called shoulder surfing. So shoulder surfing is a scenario where you are typing in your password and somebody is looking over your password. He's looking over your shoulder. I beg your pardon for your password. That is shoulder surfing. So back to RMS. With right management, things that RMS can help us with includes helping us protect our documents and helping us protect our email. I'll give you an example. You know, sometimes you can send an email with an attachment, but you don't want people to print the attachment. How cool is that? You know, you send an email and you put an instruction on the email. It's not just a message now. You lock down the email using RMS and say, this message is going to be read-only. This message is going to be read-write, right? So if the message is read-only, then it means that people will not be able to, edit that message. When I send the message, I can say, I can block forward, meaning when the message comes to me, I am not allowed to forward it to somebody else. I can do something else like print. I disable print. So yes, people can continue to work, but when they want to print the document, the print icon is not there or is grayed out. So you see, so the technology in O365 that can help us do this is Right Management Service, RMS, right? So it helps us protect sensitive email and documents. And you have it integrated with different Office 365 products, such as Office. You have it in Exchange and you have it in SharePoint Online, right? So I think we should leave it here for today. But I'll show you something real quick before we continue in our next. Before we continue next time. If I'm trying to turn on this service, where do I go to turn this service on? To turn on the service, I'm going to share my portal again. Let's see, portal. Okay. So first, I will need to come here, log into your admin portal, and not billing. You will, let me see, under settings. Is this settings or setup now? Let me check. It's under settings, yes, settings. You will click on services and add-ins. Services and add-ins. Give that a click. And you look through the available services. The services that we want, if you're trying to do rights management, is let's see, can you see this one right here? Microsoft Azure Information Protection. So this Azure Information Protection, you're going to click on it, give it a click, and manage it, and make sure that it is turned on. By the way, the default behavior is for this information right protection to be turned on. So if I click, okay, so it takes me to a place where I can manage it. So you turn it on, and if there's a need for you to dig further, this is not an Azure class, so I'll just leave it here. But this is where you can see that it is turned on. So except I don't need it and I want to deactivate it, so I can just deactivate. So this is where you activate and deactivate your rights management service. And then there are other configurations that we can do later. I think I will show that to you in our next class. So let's try to call it a wrap here, so we're not taking in too much, we're not stuffing in too much. what we have left for this module now is just this RMS, right? So, and I've talked to you about what RMS is. So I'm just going to show you like a practical application to RMS. Maybe we'll do RMS in Exchange. SharePoint has its own RMS. Exchange has its own RMS. Office has its own RMS. So we'll try to demo one of them in the next class. So I don't know if there are further questions you would like to ask before we call it a class today.
Yeah, excuse me, sir.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Please go ahead.
I'm very sorry. I didn't start this class with you from the beginning. So I am still a bit fuzzy of what 0365 is. Sincerely.
Okay, so I'll use 5 minutes or 2 minutes to quickly talk about 0365 again. 0365 is a cloud of cloud. So it's like saying, what is cloud computing? If I'm asking you, right, what is cloud computing? So cloud computing is not the literal cloud that we see, or the what is in the cloud, you know. So you can say sky, right? Not that cloud. Cloud is just another name for internet. So if you don't want to call it cloud, people can call it internet, right? So now the deal is that cloud providers, they've gone through the ordeal of setting up data centers all around the world. Data centers are very big. They are data centers, I mean. Sometimes you'll find them as big as an entire football field. So imagine those service providers such as Microsoft, they will acquire such a property, build on it, build very heavy buildings, and then try to put nice infrastructures, run cables, put racks, put servers, put all the different stuff that they are meant to put on the server, right? So, and then they will start running services on those servers. So for users to connect to it, they will connect to it via the internet. So that is cloud computing. So, and I also said when we started that cloud computing can be divided into IaaS, infrastructure as a service, or PaaS, or SaaS. So IaaS gives you the ability to be able to do anything at all that you want to your VM, your virtual machine. PaaS is more of a developer platform. And a developer wants a place that they can connect to and start to write their code without worrying about patching operating system. So they go with PaaS. But if you have a customer, or you yourself, you are the customer, and you need to use SharePoint, you need to use Exchange. Don't worry if you don't know about SharePoint and Exchange. We'll still be talking about those in our future lessons. So if you want to be able to do all those things without the need to acquire licenses to set up servers, then the way to go is software as a service. And a good example of software as a service from Microsoft is something called Office 365. Do you understand now?
Okay, I can get you.
Okay, so in Office 365, yes, in Office 365, we have some services that are running in Office 365, meaning when a tenant, I've told you now to create a tenant account before our next class. So when a tenant wants to start using Office 365, there are certain services that the tenant is looking forward to, you know. So there are core services of O365 and there are some optional services of O365. For the core services of O365, you have like SharePoint Online, you have Exchange Online, you have Office Pro Plus, and then you have Skype for Business. So those are the core technology that we have of O365. There are some other optional technology, other optional service offerings like Yammer, things like Dynamics, so on and so forth. So that in a nutshell is what O365 is about. And because this is an O365 course, you will expect us to be breaking, be explaining those services as time goes on. So there will be a class, I think maybe module 4 or 5, we'll pick on one of those core technologies, maybe Exchange. and we'll see how to do a few things with Exchange. Later we'll click on SharePoint, we'll see how to do a few things with SharePoint, so on and so forth. So
Okay,
that's
a quick
what
one.
it is in a
A
nutshell.
quick one, Mr. Kazim.
Yes, sir.
Okay, please, what's the difference between Microsoft 365 and Office 365?
Okay. Office 365 is what it is. What I've explained to you that Office 365 is. That's
Okay.
some core features, core services such as SharePoint and the rest. But with Microsoft 365, is way more than Office 365 in the sense that if you have a Microsoft 365 license, it means you also have Windows 10 with it. It comes with it. So,
Okay.
So, but the question now is, if I know I already have Windows 10 on all my systems, all the systems on my network, then why buy M365? Because it's going to cost you more. You understand?
Okay.
But if you don't have, maybe you have Windows 7 and you're looking to migrate to Windows 10, well, it might make a very good, that you can make a good case out of it. Let's do M365. With M365, we're going to get Windows 10, we're going to get Office 365, we're going to get some Azure stuff. You understand? So that is what M365, Microsoft 365 is.
Okay. So, quick one, Mr. Kazim again. I wasn't too active in the last class, but I have installed Microsoft Online Assistant.
Okay.
So, but I can't find it on my programs.
No, you don't need to find it. Though. Just forget about it. But make sure you install it and you install it successfully. After you've installed it, then go to PowerShell and run that command that I've shared in your chat box.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Please, can you share the command again?
Okay. What I will do, I'll send the command to you on WhatsApp.
Okay. Okay.
Then I'll also try to, add you to a group so that I don't have to be sharing individually. I'll just put it in a group that you can get it.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. And so let's call it a class here today. And so let me mention something real quick before we call it a class. Also, in case you missed the first class, I think it's the first class where we also mention fast track. So fast track is a way of getting your customers up to O365 with minimal administrative effort. So when you do fast track, you will provision services of O365 for your users. Imagine if a user needs to use O365 now. It has SharePoint, it has Exchange, it has Teams, it has Skype for Business, it has all these fantastic solutions. But you know that if we were to do those on-prem, it will take almost forever. We need to have meetings, we need to have timelines to when we are going to plan, timelines to when we're going to finish the install, timelines to when we're going to go live, all those different issues. But up in O365, I can just say, I set up an O365 tenant, with a number of users, maybe 25 users. And from the 25 users, I want them to be able to use SharePoint. I want them to be able to use Exchange. You understand? So immediately they can start seeing the benefit. They can start using those stuffs. And if eventually the customer decide to buy from you, as a vendor, then it means that what that means is that there's not going to be any throwaway part of that pilot testing that you've done. Meaning that once you do that and the customer says, well, let's still go with O365. Yes, we've tried it, but we like it, we want to continue. You won't have to start from scratch again. So you just change, for instance, domain name, and off you go. So that's the fast track process. Fast track, aims at getting customers up to O365 quickly, the bare minimum that they need to get to O365 quickly. So that's what it gives to them. Okay, so on this note, we can call it a class here, and we will continue on Tuesday again. So have a very good evening and a superfluous week ahead. So have a good
Thank
night.
you, too, sir.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kazim.
Yeah.
Really appreciate.
Yeah.
Thank you very
You
much,
were
sir.
saying something about. Hello, Mr. Kazim. Quick one, please.
Yes, sir.
You said we can't write Office 365 professional exams for now.
You know what? Maybe for you, I would advise that don't write. Just write the new one instead of writing the old one. Except you can pressure yourself if you know you are up to the task. You can write 2 exams in 15 days, in less than 15 days, maybe in 13 days. Then, well, maybe you can write it. But if you know you can't go through that stress, then just acquire the knowledge and look for the new exams. Learn a bit more and write the new ones. Though the new ones now, they are more than the old one. So that's what you have. So you can use the new one, or if you want to still write the old one, but time is limited. The old one will be retired by 27th of this month.
Okay. Okay. All right, sir. Thank you so much for your time, sir. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome, sir. So when are you doing your rollout, sir? When are you rolling out 365 in your company, sir?
Maybe I need to call you tomorrow, Mr. Kazim, to discuss. I'm having some little challenge with but tomorrow I'm going to give you a call.
Okay. No problem then, sir.
Okay, sir.
So have a good night, everyone.
Okay, sir.
You too, sir.
Yeah. I noticed, but we've called it a wrap. I was going to say Malam Idris did not participate very much today. He's not as active in class today. But